What does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a father? What is a real man? When we say that, is a real man always in comparison to a fake man? These kind of topics and a whole lot of other things we're going to talk about in this series. Let's discuss. Welcome to season 2 of Manhood Mondays. This is episode 1. Man, I'm so glad to be back in front of you to share with you some things to help us men do love and life better. What I would like for you to do is to like, subscribe, and or follow and share. I want you to share this video. Why? Because you can put this information into someone else's hands, not because I just want likes and subscribers. I mean, that's good. Who doesn't want that? But more importantly, I want to get what I have to say in front of as many people as possible to be helpful. So if you know a man that could benefit from the things that I'm sharing tonight, then do please share that with him. All right. So if this is your first time here, you may be wondering, what is Manhood Mondays? I have a lot of new subscribers, right? So what is Manhood Mondays? Manhood Mondays is something that I came up with last year, at the end of last year, going into the beginning of this year. And it's really just talks to help men do love and life better, right? Last year, I talked about spirituality. I talked about fatherhood. I talked about love, what it means for a man to love. I talked about our childhood issues, right? Some of those things I'm going to recover. I'm going to go over that again because a lot of you men, you heard me, but you're still not doing it. So this season is probably going to be not as structured because I'm going to give you more of just raw me. So this won't be for TV production or whatever, because perfection is nowhere on the screen of objectives we're trying to reach. Okay. But I do want to make sure that I'm impactful in helping you do real life situations in your marriage, with your children, on your job even. Right, I got some new content to talk about work and just being a man in America. And I think this just came to me. I think that I'm also going to do something for black men or minority men specifically, because whether you believe it or not, the experience is not the same for everybody on the planet. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. Tonight I'm talking about, I'm asking the question, who taught you how to be a man? Now, that's a derivative of my book title. Let me talk about my book real quick, right? So my book, I am finished with my part. I'm finished with the manuscript. It's in production now. I don't know if you're supposed to talk about the book before it's actually available in people's hands, but I am. The book is, hopefully it'll be in your hands by no later than March. That's what I'm hoping for. Going through this whole editing process right now. But the name of the book is Who Taught You How to Do Marriage? Who taught you how to do marriage? And so I'll be honest with you, I'm impressed with it. And it's hard for me to impress me. Well, yeah. When it comes to writing, it's hard for me to impress me because, you know, we're always our own worst critic. And that's part of what took me so long to finish it, because that's not right. And let me add this, let me change that. But over the last few months when I pushed to finish it, man, I love it. I cannot wait for it to come out. I can't wait to get it in your hands. So this topic comes from that. Who taught you how to do marriage? Who taught you how to be a man? Why do I say that? Because you don't know something until you learn it. Boys are born, but men are made. And men are made in the process of doing life, and usually by another man or men. I do believe it takes men to raise men. That's not to say that a single mom can't raise a boy or can't raise a man. I hear people say, a woman don't know how to raise a man. We can debate that later. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but I do know that other men in the lives of men, extremely important. And so, if you just ask yourself the question, who taught me how to be a man? I remember I was about 31, 32. I was a single father of 3 children. And I realized I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know how to do life. I don't know how to parent. I barely know how to take care of myself. How do you be a man? And that's when I realized that we do not become men just because we get older. You just become an older male. But in order to be a man, you have to grow. And I strongly believe that someone has to teach you. And I'm not saying sit down in a classroom and teach you, but you need to learn what it means to be a man. So through Manhood Mondays, I'm going to give you some of that. I'm giving you more of what I guess a bird's eye view, not so specifics. Like, I can't tell you how to be you. You are who you are. Your soul is your version of humanity. And so I'm not trying to change that. I just want to give you some principles to thrive. What's the point of being on the planet if you're not going to thrive? That's not to say if your life is not thriving, leave the planet. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. I'm not saying that. Okay. But if you're going to be here, you may as well thrive. Yeah. This there's no life after this. Natural life on the planet, right? We're not talking about heaven and getting into all that. But who taught you how to do marriage? Who taught you how to be a man? Now, one of the things that I say often, I've said in my book, since I'm saying this publicly, especially I'm live on Instagram today. Let me make sure I give credit where I originally got it from, because it is mine now. I use it all the time. But Pastor Jeremy Foster of Hope City said, if you learn it wrong, you'll live it wrong. And I picked that up, and man, I've been using it because it is true. A lot of us grew up without men in the home, so we had no man to model our manhood after. Then some of us grew up with a man in the home, but there was no real connection. And so we still had to try to figure it out on our own. And then there are those who grew up with great fathers, and he gave you some great things. But the way childhood works, you probably have or had some things that altered or at least has been hindering your full development into the man that you were created to be. So for the latter people, I'm just here to help a little bit. But the other 2 groups, I'm here to move you from surviving to help you get on the thriving train, man. Because it's not in this country, we don't raise boys for connection. And that's crazy to me. Let me tell you why. Because as human beings, we are created for connection. We are created for connection, but we're not raised for connection. So then you have a bunch of boys growing into adulthood who are maturing physically, but emotionally they're not. And because a woman is not a man and she don't understand a lot of the stuff that we just go through, right? When this man shows up to adulthood and he looks full grown, she thinks, oh, there's a man, we can get married. And she thinks that when we get married, he is now a husband. He don't even know how to be a man. And so I want to help with that kind of stuff, right? So tonight, talking about who taught you how to be a man, I'm going to dive right into my favorite topic. And if you've been watching me a while, you know what I love talking about. Love. Why? Because at the end of the day, love is all that matters. There's nothing on the planet more important than love, which is why there's nothing on the planet more important than relationships. Had a discussion with, who was I talking to? Somebody the other day. I can't remember who. I was talking to someone the other day, and we was talking about the DSM which is the diagnostic statistical. I struggle to say that word. I got this lisp thing. Diagnostic statistic. I'm not going to try it again. The DSM is what we psychologists, I'm not a psychologist, but I guess I am, use to diagnose people. And what I was telling them is, in my own personal opinion, is the gospel according to Clifton. For the most part, I think they should burn the DSM. Yep. Tell Gottman I said that. No, not Gottman, because he's probably not a DSM person. Anyway, I think they should burn the DSM because the overwhelming majority of the things that they diagnose can be traced back to relationship issues. People with bipolar disorder, do you know they cannot test your brain? Like, they don't put a probe in your brain and test and see if there's a chemical imbalance. It's not what they do. They give you a questionnaire. Answer these questions. Based on that, I probably at times in my life could meet the diagnosis for bipolar disorder. The point that I'm making, though, is even in the DSM, all of those diagnoses, at the root of those issues is a love deficiency. Depression, anxiety, relationship issues. They're not mental issues. You're not crazy. They're relationship issues. And so with these men, with you guys, as I'm trying to help you develop emotional maturity, some of those things it will begin to address, right? So who taught you how to do, as a matter of fact, I can get some, what's up, Derek? I can get some questions on here if you guys want to, answers if you want to answer. Who do you feel like taught you how to be a man? Who do you feel like taught you how to be a man? I don't know how I'm gonna edit this part for the podcast. Maybe this first episode won't be on the podcast because I need a little bit more planning for that. Okay. So anyway, well, let me just dive into my content because I don't know who's on here and I'm not gonna wait all night for questions. But if you have questions as you join or as I go throughout, then just send them. I won't be long. I can tell you that. I know preachers always say that, but seriously, I won't. I won't be long. Okay. But talking about love, here's where I want to start at. Okay. I don't think that you can start to talk about love in a serious way without talking about the creator of love. Okay. The creator of love is God. I'm not debating that. You don't have to believe it. That's fine. I'm not tripping. But the creator of love is God. And so let's go and see what he says. Interestingly enough, a lot of people read this at their weddings. But if they really knew the implications of what they were reading, they would not read it because it's not easy. Sounds nice, but it's extremely difficult because it's a level of emotional maturity most people, especially married folk, don't get to. Listen to this. And this first part is really for my super Christians. I've had them in my office who are so spiritual and so, as a matter of fact, pastors and preachers, but their marriages are garbage and how they treat their wives, garbage. And I had to tell them, your relationship with your wife is hindering your relationship with God. God is clear about that. Anyway, tonight, because I get on a tangent, let's not do that. Listen to what this says. This is 1 Corinthians 13:1. If I could speak all the languages of earth and of angels, but didn't love others, I would only be a noisy gong or clanging cymbal. If I had the gift of prophecy, and if I understood all of God's secret plans and possessed all knowledge, so I'm really smart, I know everything God's going to do. He and I on first name speaking basis. Paul says if you did all that, and you have faith that could move mountains. The Bible says that without faith, it is impossible to please God. No, this is not a Bible study, but just stay with me. Say without faith, it's impossible to please God. But Paul says here, if I have faith to move mountains, but I don't love others, I would be nothing. So now do you understand why I say at the end of the day, love is all that matters? What he's saying here is, it doesn't matter how spiritual you think you are. The measure of your spirituality is going to be measured by how well, how deep, how authentic you love. And one of the things that stops us from loving authentically, childhood issues, which Paul talks about later on. And I've read that for you before also, but I'm not going to go into it tonight because he talks about when I was a child, I thought, reasoned, and behaved like a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. That's in this same chapter. So he's not just talking about becoming a man physically. He's talking about emotional maturity. You probably know that the Bible addresses emotional maturity, but it does. He's talking about that in there. So what does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a man? Being a man is not about brute strength or physicality, right? That doesn't necessarily make you a man. But being a man is about responsibility. It's about being emotionally whole. As a matter of fact, I have 5 things. Let me tell you 5 things that men are supposed to be responsible for. Okay, 5 things men are supposed to be responsible for. Number 1, they are responsible for their spiritual, mental, and emotional health. As a man, your spiritual, mental, and emotional health is your business. It's not your wife. It's not your friend. It's not your homie. It's your business. Whatever happened to you in your life may not have been your fault, but it is your responsibility to heal every wound that you've gathered throughout life. What your parents did to you, they did what they knew how to do. You got to learn to forgive and be great without their approval if it ain't coming. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. Don't sit around waiting for someone to validate you. You got to do it yourself. You are responsible for your spiritual, emotional, and mental health. Second thing that men are responsible for, their future. You're responsible for your own future. Now, that may sound obvious, but the reason I put that on my list is because up until I was about 41, I didn't realize that I was still blaming my parents for things in my life that was going wrong. And then I had to realize, Doc, you haven't been a child in a long time. Whatever your parents didn't give you, that ain't your issue today. If you did not learn to tie your shoes, let's say your parents didn't teach you how to tie your shoes when you were 5, 6, 7, whatever. While you were young, they did not teach you how to learn to, they didn't teach you to tie your shoes. But just because your parents didn't teach you how to tie your shoes, I doubt that you'd show up at 38 or 45 not knowing how to tie your shoe. Why? Because you would learn it. Well, how are you going to learn if your parents don't teach you? You would say, hey, man, they didn't teach me, but this is something I got to learn. Take that same motivation, that same energy to your emotional development. Don't sit around and say, man, my dad didn't teach me how to love a woman. My mama didn't teach me how to be vulnerable. No one taught me how to express myself. I get it and I understand. But you got to learn how to do it. Why? Because you're going to pay for it. And everybody who's intimately connected to you, they're going to pay for that. Okay? It is true. Relationships is the single most difficult thing we have to do. Well, I usually say love is the most difficult thing we have to do when we do it correctly. But relationships, like trying to love broken people while you're broken, that's not easy. Okay? So, your future is in your hands. Your past is gone. It's not happening anymore. Your future hasn't happened. I'm always amazed by people. And when I say this, is not to say that I live a worry-free life. Like I'm not perfect, right? But I don't worry. I don't really worry much. But it's always interesting to me when people have anxiety or fearful about the future, and in the present they do nothing to affect the pending future. It's like when there's a hurricane, you see on the news, hey, hurricane coming to Houston. Hurricane Ike is coming. You don't just sit on the couch and cry like, dang, I don't know what I'm going to do. I ain't got no food. I ain't got no water. Hurricane coming. Go to the store. Do something to prevent the disaster that you think is coming. In the same way in your life, don't be so stuck in the past that you can't prepare for the future, because right now in the present, you're just sitting still, right? Dr. Rick Marks has this concept called past created future. And it goes like this. I can't teach it as well as him, but basically it goes like this. If an artist is going to paint a picture, right? Where's the picture before he paints it? First of all, what does he need? He needs a canvas, paint brushes, and well, I guess that's it. And then when he paints, before he paints the picture, where's the picture? It's in his head. Now, in order for him to paint what is in his head on the canvas has to be blank. If the canvas is not blank, he cannot paint what's in his head. He has to alter it based on what's already on the canvas. That's how we describe a past created future, right? So you have a future that's blank. It ain't happened yet. But we take our past, the stories that we've told ourselves. I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. I'm bad. I'm an addict. Well, you might be an addict, but you can break free of that too, right? And you take these things from the past and you project it onto the future, and you say, I can't be no better than what I am. I can't get no degree. I ain't even graduate high school. I can't start no business. I can't even read. Those are lies from the enemy, and I don't want you to allow them to be excuses for you. So your future is your responsibility. What's another responsibility for men? I thought about this one. This is what I believe. Now, this is the gospel according to Clifton. I believe that men are responsible for women. Let me tell you what I mean, though. I don't mean that men are to just, take care of women. They don't do anything. I hope you know that wouldn't make sense. I'm not talking about that. But in general, I believe that men are supposed to be responsible for women, in the sense. So when you're going down the street, in general, like this hypothetical, and you see a woman stranded on the side of the street and it's raining, and if it's not raining, I believe it's a man's responsibility to stop. Now, do I always stop? No, because of the day and age, and unfortunately, the world we live in, it's not safe. But that doesn't remove the responsibility. What I could do is pull over and say, hey, let me call somebody for you. Something, right? My point is, I believe that men at a certain level are responsible for women. Yeah, I believe, and maybe these are 4 points, because my next point is men are responsible to protect women and children. Those may go, that actually be one and the same when I say responsible for women. But men, we got to protect women and children. That's not to say that one day, so my wife is from the hood, right? I am too, so don't think I'm judging my wife. That's not the point that I'm making. The point that I'm making is this. My wife will kill a rock for me. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. If you look at me sideways, my wife walks around with one AirPod in her ear. And what's on repeat when we're out in public is "Nuck if you buck." She's waiting. So I'm not saying that, women can't. Oh, that was a joke, by the way. The "nuck if you buck" part. She will nuck if you buck. My wife don't play. But I think it's men's responsibility to take care of women and children. Protect them. Not just physically. Watch this. Emotionally. That's why you have to learn how to love. You got to learn how to love. And you got to start with you. Meaning, if you fix the relationship with you, the relationship with your wife and your children and whoever else, it'll start to fall in place. Your relationship with you, your relationship with God, and then your relationship with others. And really, that's kind of out of order. Relationship with God, perhaps this is the gospel according to Clifton too. This is what I believe. And if you're following me, this is what I'm encouraging you to do. By the way, I am going to talk about God more this season than I did last season. Why? Because I'm giving you me. You're following me. If you don't want to follow, I think that, what was my point? I forgot what it was. I think that men are to take care of women and children, protect women and children, not just physically, but also emotionally. I was talking about that's why you have to learn love. Your relationship, thank you. I got it back. Fix your relationship with God first. Because why? I'll detour just real quickly. The reason you want to work on your relationship with God is because He created you. Think about this. Just think about it. There's an all-powerful, all-knowing being who created you, who loves you, who intends for you to thrive. He wants you to be successful on the planet. Now, I'm not defining success. I ain't say He wanted you to be a millionaire. You're not going to find that in the scripture. I'm not saying that He don't want you to struggle. Struggle is a part of life. But He does want you to thrive. So if an all-knowing, all-powerful God who loves you wants you to thrive, why wouldn't you pay attention to what He says about how to do life when He created life? Like He created it. Why wouldn't you? Don't let folk who say they love God but have hurt you or let you down make you misunderstand who God is. Don't let folk who say they love God and they let you down or hurt you trick you into thinking that God is something that He's not. You need to know the God of the Bible. I said not long ago, well, maybe I can't remember what it was, but I said a while ago, I realized that the God of my youth is not the same God of it's not the same God of the Bible. They're not the same at all. Okay? Because the God of the Bible is about love. Did you know that the Bible is about relationships from Genesis to Revelation? It's about love, about God's love for you, what He's going to do for you, and what you need to do, how you should love and treat others. My point in saying all of that is this. Get your relationship right with the Creator, so then He can guide you on how to thrive. Then you can work on your relationship with you, then your relationship with others. You feel me? So men are responsible for protecting women and children. The next one is this. Men are responsible for raising boys to men. Like I said, yes, I do believe that a woman can raise a boy and he become a healthy man. But I do believe a man somewhere has to be involved. He has to. But watch this. In order for you to raise a boy to a man in an emotionally healthy way, you got to be emotionally healthy. You can't be walking around in shame trying to raise a son. You can't afraid to be vulnerable, afraid to share what's going on inside of you, afraid to say I'm afraid and raise a son and expect him to thrive. It's not going to happen. I'm just telling you, it's not going to happen, right? So, for our children's sake, work on you so that you can raise your children. Because here's what you can't do: you can't give your children what you don't have. Every time I discover something about my childhood that I hadn't discovered already, and it's an issue, ask my children. They'll tell you, "Hey, I just found out I have this issue. Y'all might want to go talk to somebody." Why? Because I recognize if I had this issue, then I couldn't give you this particular thing. And you need it because I need it. So you might want to go talk to someone to heal that. I am very much pro therapy, right? Did I give you all of them? Men are responsible for their future, women, children, protection, your mental, spiritual, and emotional health, right? And you're responsible to be an example to boys. Yeah, be an example. Okay? Be an example. Don't do what you don't want your son doing. Yeah, never mind that. I don't want that to be the rubric. Let me just say it this way. Grow. Work on you and get better so that when you sit down to talk to your son and he asks you hard questions, you don't have to clam up. You don't have to give him something that's, you're just throwing something out there, but it's not helpful. You're just trying to get the heat up off of you. You're going to injure him. We got to take more responsibility for our future and our children and our women. Somebody told me the other day that toxic masculinity is not a real thing. So that's obviously that's going to come up in Manhood Mondays in the future. You're going to talk about toxic masculinity. And I know I'm gonna have to bring research and science into it, so you don't think it's just all my opinion, but it is a real thing. The label may be new because we recognize it, but man, let me tell you, toxic masculinity has messed up a lot of marriages and has a lot of boys whose fathers had that toxic masculinity thing in prison. I'm not saying that everybody goes to prison. That's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is it's not good. And so we got to work on that. So, all right. This was really just kind of I wanted to get back into the good foot. So that's, I'm kind of, can you tell I haven't, so, like last time I went swimming, because I know how to swim, but the last time I went swimming had been so long, I had to learn how to stroke again. I had to get back into the groove and I'm struggling. Same thing. Well, no, I was going to say same thing when I went to the gym, but that's not true. My shot was still wet. My lungs was garbage because I'm 49, but I can still shoot. But I feel myself, kind of struggling tonight, but it's all good. I'm looking forward to this season. I'm looking forward to really speaking into your life some really positive things to help you thrive. But listen. It is important for you to share with me not just your takeaways, but things that you want to talk about or hear about and questions that you have. You can send them to me offline. If you don't want everyone to know what you're dealing with, struggling with, fine. But I want to know your questions because I'm not doing this just to be talking. I love to talk. My wife will tell you. She tell me, baby, you talk too much. She don't say that, but I know she be thinking it. But I want to make sure that I'm helping you. So if you have questions, you don't want everyone to know, just email them to me and I can answer them on air because there's probably another man struggling with the same thing. Now, let me tell you what I'm not doing. I'm not doing Manhood Mondays because I'm a perfect man. I'm not doing Manhood Mondays because I know everything. I'm not doing Manhood Mondays because I know the Bible like the back of my hand. I'm not doing Manhood Mondays to impress anybody. I think if I was in it to impress folk, I would be nervous right now, and I would be, because I know I've been all over the place tonight. It's not, if I was trying to impress as structured as I like to be when I do these, but that ain't my goal. My goal is really to be helpful. I want to help you. I want to help you. Okay? All right. So tell your friends to subscribe. And if tonight wasn't, I was trying to do this tonight without notes. I won't do this again. But if tonight wasn't as wow for you, okay, fine. It wasn't as impactful for you, go watch the series from last season and share that with folk because the feedback that I got from that was really powerful. And I've gotten a lot of clients. A lot of you men come to see me now to do love and life better. So I hope you guys. Let me take some questions. See if there's some questions. What advice do you give? I forgot. See, I haven't done this so while. I forgot I could bring this on here. Let's see. What advice do you give to grow as a man to those who grew up in a fatherless home? That is an excellent question. The first thing you got to do, so I don't know if you're married or not, but a lot of times we don't realize that we're lacking until we get into a relationship. So relationships shine a light on areas that you struggle. So if you didn't grow up with a father, If you didn't grow up with a father, you can just go to therapy and start working on stuff because what I was about to say is, in a relationship, you'll begin to see things. Things will get revealed to you. But if you know you didn't grow up with your dad, you just go to therapy now and start working on the things that, the therapist will help you bring those things out. But outside of that, in your relationships, look at the areas that you struggle in. Do you struggle to forgive? Do you struggle to let things go? Right? Do you struggle with anger? Do you struggle expressing yourself? That's probably the biggest thing that I see in my office. Men who don't know how to express themselves because when they were younger, they were told, sit down and shut up, or, that don't hurt, shut up, so they developed the belief that how I feel doesn't matter. And so they hold things in, they don't express themselves because the only emotion that they're allowed to have is anger. It's a lot of men. It's crazy because women participate in raising these boys this way too. You raise your sons in an emotionally deficient way, and then you expect him to thrive in relationships. And you mad at him when he, his wife called and said, he just cursed me out. Well, what'd you think he was going to do? He showed up emotionally immature because of your parenting. Anyway, yeah. So, and there's a book. I usually don't promote books. I'm going to promote mine, but there's a book. Let me get this book for you. This book is great for this book, How to Do the Work. Let's see if I can get it to focus. There we go. Yeah. This book is amazing for doing individual work. And then I have another one. What is it called? Oh, it's right here. Watch this. This is the most recent. I'm about to fall on my chair. This is the most recent book. As a matter of fact, I would encourage you to get this one instead of that one. The person who asked the question. There we go. Healing Your Lost Inner Child by Robert Jackman. Really, really good book. Really, really good book. So you could start there and then find you a therapist, man. Because here's the thing about childhood injuries. They don't go away. Because in those first 8 to 10 years of life, your mind is so malleable, right? And you're making incorrect conclusions about life, and then it becomes hardwired, so to speak. And so your core beliefs about you are developed in those first 8 years of life. So what you get after that, mostly, so think of it this way: it gives you a lens through which to look, and based on the lens, you will look for things to validate that you're not good enough. You'll look for relationships to validate that you're not lovable, that you shouldn't be heard. I can't tell you how many people I chose because they made me feel invisible. That wasn't my intent. I was trying to choose healthy, but out of my dysfunction, I was choosing my childhood, and I kept repeating it. I had to heal that. And so that came from, I wasn't fatherless in the sense of my dad wasn't in the home. My dad was in the home, but he worked all the time. Me and my dad did not have a relationship. We had no emotional connection. So everything I learned about being a man, I learned through the hard knock life. It's hard knocks. Life of hard knocks. It's not the best way to learn how to be a man, but that's why I'm doing Manhood Mondays, so that you don't have to do that. Try to help you prevent some of that stuff. So hopefully that answered your question. If not, give me more detail and I can go deeper into. I forgot, Dare. You did send me 2 questions. Doggone it. You have my word. I'll get to them next time because I didn't pull them up beforehand. And so you have my word. I will get to your questions next time. That's my bad. You're absolutely right. You sent that as soon as I sent out the notification. So I forgot. I apologize. That's on me. Oh, I see a question over here. Let's see. Why it's hard to see with these contacts on. Let's see. How can a man learn to express emotions? You guys probably can't hear me. I'm sorry. Let me see if I can pull this. How can a man learn to express emotions he was never taught to know how to properly express, like feeling sad or hurt or interested in expressing anger. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. So, this is a question from Instagram from, I can't see that, but I was able to see the question. So, how you learn it? Number one, the emotions are already in there. So people say, women are more emotional than men. That's not true in the sense of them having more emotions than us. They express them more, but that's not a female thing. We learn not to express ourselves. So you say, okay, well, so how do I address that? First of all, as a man, you got to recognize I have this issue. Because if you don't believe you got an issue, you're not going to work on it. Like you can have cancer, but if you believe that you don't have cancer, you're not going to the doctor. You're just going to die, right? So first you got to recognize that I have an issue. And then how do I identify what these emotions are? That was my struggle. Like I would feel something bad, but I didn't know if it was sadness or loneliness or disappointment. And so what I did was all the books that I have, but I started to like think about emotions. I started to look up emotions and what they mean. And I also met Dr. Patrick Wanis, who really taught me what emotions mean. For example, sadness means I feel like I lost something. Anger is a response to feeling like I've been mistreated. You feel me? And so that helped me identify emotions. But now when you're talking about expressing them is just a matter. I guess I don't know fully what you mean by expressing them. I should be looking this way. When you say expressing them, are you saying just telling someone how I feel? Hey, I'm sad. I'm whatever. Because that could be a level of vulnerability as opposed to not knowing what the emotion is. So if you're asking, how can a man be more vulnerable? That's going to take some work. Because what you've learned all your life is that vulnerability is a no-no. And something else we've learned incorrectly is that vulnerability means weakness. That's a lie. Got a client who don't believe that men should cry. I said, well, so you don't think he should be human? Crying is very human, right? Anyway, I'm not gonna get on that. So hopefully I answered the question on how a man can learn that. He has to get in my opinion, professional help. He needs somebody or a mentor who's already been where he's trying to go, a mentor who can guide him on number one, expressing himself. The thing that you want to do is mature in love. Emotional maturity is not about not feeling like doing whatever, going off or throwing a tantrum or whatever, but it's about making the decision not to do that. Okay. And as a man, if you feel sad, but you can't express that, that sounds like that would mean, vulnerability. Unless you're saying, how do I label these emotions? Like I said, that can be a little tricky. That can be tricky. It was tricky for me. And I'm still not fully there, honestly. There are times when I feel a certain way and I don't know what the feeling is. But I have other skills. I know what the thoughts are. And that's another way you can kind of determine where the feeling has come from. What are the thoughts connected to the feeling? Like if you say, I'm sad, but the sadness that you're describing is always connected to, I don't know, something that's not a loss, then maybe that example didn't go over well. But I hope you got what I was saying. Let's see. Yes, okay, expressing what emotions they're feeling. Yeah, that's going to be an issue of vulnerability. That's scary for men because of how we're raised in this country. It's unfortunate. One of the blessings for me, which was also one of the things that hurt me. So me not having a close relationship with my dad means that I was primarily raised by my mom. I really wasn't raised. I just grew up like in my house, right? But growing up throughout life and connecting more with women than men, a lot of the toxic behaviors that men have, I didn't get. Like, can't be vulnerable. Thank goodness I didn't have that. Can't express themselves. I didn't have that. I did have, I don't know what I'm feeling. And I did have afraid to cry. And I did have also, what was the other one? Holding things in. I feel something, but I'm not going to say anything. But at the same time, I still knew how to express myself. Okay, that was connected to something else. So I didn't have those issues, but that stuff comes from childhood. So if you are a wife dealing with a man like that, give him some grace. Now, fellas, the grace is going to run out if she's giving you grace, but you're not doing no work. Because everybody's suffering if you are suffering, right? You got to get your stuff together. Here's what I believe. I believe you move a man, you move a family. And so if the man get his stuff together, I believe, in general, I know it's not black and white, the same statistics 100%, but I believe the family will follow suit. So men, work on your emotional health. Emotional maturity is your number one goal. You feel me? Yeah, so you can express yourself. Because if you can't be vulnerable, if you can't express yourself, who's your wife going to love? Who is she going to love? Because you're not expressing to her what you need and want. You want her to just figure it out. That's one of the biggest, and that's in my book, in the chapter called What Did You Expect? We have this Hollywood syndrome where you think because you're in an intimate relationship that they just know what you want, know what you like, know what you think. Get off of that. That's childish. Tell them how to meet your needs. Hey, I need this. I need that. I want, you know what I'm saying? Stop throwing hints. Children throw hints because they're afraid of hearing no. As an adult, you should, I don't like shoulds. As an adult, you're going to suffer if you don't like hearing no. Like if you can't hear no, you're going to struggle. Okay. Let's see any more questions over here. Let me scroll up, back. I don't see any on there. Okay. Any questions on Facebook, YouTube? I don't see any. All right, good people. Well, I'm going to end and go clean, which is something I'm going to talk about. Men doing domestic work. I get a lot of clients, and the wives say, he don't help clean up. He don't help do this. He don't help do that. Now, if you ask my wife, she may say, well, he don't help as much, and I don't. But that's because I don't have the eyes that she have. It ain't because I don't want to. I have no issues with cleaning. My dad is the one that kept our house clean. Well, not when I was growing up, but when I got older. My dad did all the cleaning in the house. My mama didn't really do that. So anyway, different topic for a different day. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me as I chopped up this first session, right? It wasn't all smooth and flowy, but I got the point across. I hope you got a message. I did pray for you guys. I'm going to pray for you tonight as I go to bed, because I do believe that as men, we got to do better. We got to do better. And you doing better has nothing to do with your wife. Nothing to do with your children. Nothing to do with your homies. Your life is your responsibility. God gave it to you to make great. He's not going to even make it great for you. He'll work with you to make it great, but he's not doing what you can do. Moses got to the Red Sea. Moses said, Lord, what are we going to do? It's a Red Sea. He said, why are you crying to me? Stretch out your hand. So here's what Moses could not do. Part the Red Sea. Moses could stretch his hand out all day. Red Sea wasn't parting if God didn't do what he did. But here's what God wasn't going to do. Stretch out Moses' hand. Do what you can do. God will do what you can't, but you're going to have to do your part first, right? You're going to have to do your part. So, email me your questions, clifton@cliftonbrantley.com, or what's the other email address? clifton@learntolove101.com, or clifton@abetterfamilynow.com. Email me your questions, comments, whatever's. Hate mail too, if you feel like you want to send some hate mail. Have at it if that'll make you feel better. Thank you guys for watching, listening, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Oh, yeah, so let me tell you how Manhood Mondays is going to work. Real quick, last thing. So Manhood Mondays is going to be every 2 weeks, not every week like last time, okay? So I'm going to do every other week. That gives me a little bit more time to prepare and everything, especially since I'm on vacation this week. Me and my wife finna go out of town if Southwest don't mess up our plans. I need about 5 folk right now to lift your hands towards Southwest Hobby Airport to say, hey, don't cancel their flight, because we've been looking forward to this vacation, okay? But yeah, so every 2 weeks we're going to do Manhood Mondays. I will, when I send out the email, then you'll know the topic, right? Because I don't have all of them formed just yet, just a few of them. And so we'll be doing that every 2 weeks. 6:30 on Mondays, 6:30 on Mondays. And here's the very last thing I'm going to do. I'm going to run down the chapters of my book for you. Next time I have something different for you to get you kind of excited about the book. And if you registered, I got something for you. Not now, but something is coming for you. So here's the chapters of the book. First chapter is Marriage is God's Idea. Okay. And that just talks about kind of what I said in the beginning about him being the creator and giving us a blueprint on how to thrive in marriage. You need to follow that. Chapter 2 is What Did You Expect? I just read something in here. I said that was chapter. I said Becoming was chapter 2, but it's not. I need to go back. Anyway, chapter 2 is What Did You Expect? Talking about unrealistic expectations before you get married and when you're in marriage. Chapter 3 is called Becoming. You have to become a husband, become a wife. But first, you need to become more self-aware. I'm talking about that. And then that chapter also talk about soulmates, what they are, and how to become one. How to become a soulmate. Next chapter is What's Love Got to Do with It? That's my love chapter. Talking about love. And then after that chapter, the next chapter is The Destroyers. That chapter is about fear and pride. Those are relationship destroyers and the destroyers of love, fear and pride. Next chapter is about communication. It's called Heard It Through the Grapevine. I bet you're wondering how I knew. Yeah, Heard It Through the Grapevine. I chose that because a lot of us have heard it through the grapevine marriages, meaning you couldn't tell me yourself. I had to find it out some other kind of way by picking up signs and notes, and that's not effective, right? After that, we have conflict resolution, which is called, that chapter is called Crucial Conflict. Crucial Conflict. Are you old? How many of y'all old enough out there to remember Crucial Conflict? I know you are, dear. Who remembers Crucial Conflict? Real quick. I'm just asking. Anybody? Hey, in the middle of the barn. I need to download to my playlist. Where's my phone? Oh, I'm on my phone. Yeah, I'm gonna do that when I get off. Hey, in the middle of the barn. That was jamming. Next chapter is, I believe, the most crucial chapter, honestly. It is about intimacy. The name of the chapter is Created for Connection. If I do say so myself, that chapter is a game changer. Created for Connection. And then the last chapter calls Marriage Enhancement. So I talk about marriage friends, taking vacations, sex, and having fun. That's in the last chapter. And I believe that's it. Yep, those are all the chapters. So you guys have a good night. I'll see you in 2 weeks. If you have any other questions, feel free to email me. And you guys be encouraged.